Lake of the Woods neighbors. This is Making It with Lisa, a cooking experience. Today we'll show you how to do a great fresh Mexican lunch in 30 minutes. Simple to make and easy cleanup. Will be a hit with all the friends and family. So let's get started on those jalapeno poppers. So I'm going to show you the first thing. You see these ones here are already cut up, but I'm going to show you what's going to eliminate the hotness on them. So we're going to cut the top off. The hottest part of your peppers are your seeds. So we're going to take those seeds out. And I don't use, we're going to mince these peppers, and I don't use a large knife. I have better control over the shorter knives. I know a lot of your chefs and other cooks out there will use the bigger knives to help them chop it up easier. But I'm going to use the small one. Then, of course, we're going to add some panko breadcrumbs. We're going to use some Parmesan cheese, and it's the fresh Parmesan cheese. This has a little bit more of an oak flavor to it, so it helps cut down some of the spiciness on it. So we'll chop these up. And, of course, we'll add that egg so that it holds all our ingredients together. Now, if you notice, one of my jalapeno peppers is red. I put the red one in there. It's not going to taste any hotter than the green ones. I just do it more for color. This makes them a little bit more flexible too. When you're eating with your fingers, you're not having all that juice from the peppers coming out. I leave my gloves on because with cooking with the peppers like this, the hotness gets into your skin of your hands and you'll be burning for the rest of the day, and you don't want to put your hands near your face at all with that. One more extra. You want to make sure that your cream cheese, because you're using cream cheese also, and again that's just to help with the flavoring and the temperature-wise, meaning the spiciness of it. So your cream cheese needs to be at room temperature. So all of this will go in together and it's easier to mix. Put your Parmesan. I usually put the egg in last. We're going to do that last. Get this a little mixed up here. You can see the redness of the pepper, the jalapeno pepper. It's kind of just giving it a different color. If things don't look pretty, people don't eat it. Okay, now let's add those panko breadcrumbs. I wouldn't suggest doing them with a mixer or anything. I'll do with your manually. I think if you put it in a mixer, it's going to make it too creamy and it's not going to come out the way it should be. Make sure you preheat your oven to 350. I'm going to put it on parchment paper because parchment paper will prevent it from sticking. So let's get that egg in here. Now eventually, you know, you're just going to have to make it with your hands. You can only do so much with a utensil. You're going to make little balls on them and then put them in the oven. And you can kind of see it just gives you a little different color and you can kind of see the texture of it. You want to make sure your egg gets mixed really well with your cream cheese. Here's my pan. Parchment paper. They're going to flatten out a little bit after they're cooked, so you don't want to make them too big. And kind of make sure you get like the different peppers in there because it kind of just looks prettier. You almost could use these as Christmas time since it's green and red. A lot of people might want like ranch dressing or something like that on them. I personally would just leave them like that since you've got so much cheese in there and the cream cheese also. So we'll do that. And these are going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. And that should work perfect. So we'll get about a dozen on here. Now you can, if you don't want to cook the poppers that day, you can make this the night before, and then that way all you're doing is making the little, taking them off the little container and putting them in the oven. I would not recommend that you freeze these. Sometimes you can make things and freeze them for later on. These I would not recommend, especially with the egg and the cream cheese in them. Something about eggs, I don't know. It makes me nervous. You want to try and be as consistent as you can making the balls. As you can see, I have not. But at least you'll know they're homemade then. They're not store-bought. Okay, give me a little bit more on that one. We've got 12 already, so I would say you probably could make these a little bit smaller and probably get a dozen and a half out of here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get these in the oven, and then we'll see what they look like. 350 preheated. And there you go. Okay. All right. Get the timer on. That's my biggest downfall. I always forget a timer. Here we go. Now, let me get this mess out of our way. And again, you're not going to have that burning sensation or anything on your hands. If you do, you want to use some lemon juice and or milk. Soak your hands in milk. Now, why don't we go ahead and start with the cutting up of the onions and all that you're going to need to make some taco meat. Now when I'm actually cooking the taco meat, I use the white onion, but when you go to put onion on your tacos, if you like onions, I use the purple. Again, it's more for appearance than it's not, doesn't have that really harsh of the white onion flavoring as it does. Sometimes you can get a purple sweet one, but not all the time. Vidalia onions, perfect. You can use them for both cooking and for more garnishing. I actually use ground turkey for making the taco meat. And one of the keys to the taco meat, I know many of us have gone and you've gotten nachos in the restaurants, and you look and the meat is really brown or black, and there's just, it's really dry. When I'm cooking and it's all cooked, before I add more spices to it, I'll open up a can of tomato sauce and we put it in there, and that keeps your meat moist. After it's cooked, if you have an overabundance of it, you are more than welcome to freeze it. All right, I also add garlic with the onion. Here in Fredericksburg, they had an event at the Fredericksburg Expo Center. This is a plate with ridges, glass plate. And look at, it grinds your garlic. It's not shooting in your face. It uses every bit of it. You just have to be careful sliding your fingers on it. Okay. It also comes with a handy dandy little brush. And look, that's a whole garlic clove. Could you use the minced garlic that you already get at the store? Absolutely. But I kind of like things fresh. So I'm going to go ahead and put that onion in there. And we're going to start opening the meat. Okay, I've added the ground turkey. I've added the onions and the garlic to it. I don't saute the onions and the garlic separate. I just put it in all together. Your ground turkey doesn't have a lot of fat to it. So I just allow that to go in there because your garlic will give it a little bit more moisture and the fat content in it. Now you have two options. You can go with your traditional taco seasoning, Old El Paso, or whatever the market is. Me, old school, I go by what my mother's taught me. And that's with the cumin, granulated garlic, and a little bit of Mrs. Dash. High blood pressure, so we can't use a lot of salt. But the meat is browning here, and you got to remember when using ground turkey, it's not going to get real dark like you would use on the beef hamburger. While the ground turkey is browning to get ready to make the taco meat, I'm going to go ahead and start the refried beans. These are not out of a can. I went and I took a bag of pinto beans. We cleaned them. We go through them and take all the ones that are broken and the ones that don't look good. And I let them boil in garlic and spices and a lot of onion. So now what I'm going to do, and I can freeze them because you're not going to use 5 pounds all at once. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take them out of the bowl. I use avocado oil. Old school people use bacon grease. I just use the avocado oil. The avocado oil gives you a little bit more of a crisper flavor to them. And we're going to let them come to a boil. Now if you have never eaten the beans like this, they make a great soup just like this. Put a little bit of onion in there, raw onion and green pepper, and they work great. I'm going to go like this, and we're going to smush them. You're going to bring them to a boil after you smush them. And you can add more garlic if you wanted more garlic. You could add salt and pepper, but I don't do any of that because you're going to be mixing it with other things like your salsa or your guacamole and cheese and sour cream. We're going to just let them come to a boil. Once they come to a boil too and they warm up, they're going to be easier to smush for you. Now back to our meat here. You can see there's no grease in the pan. And I'm going to start using some spices. Yes, I use a lot of garlic. You won't have to worry about any vampires in Lake of the Woods here. And it does help build up your immune system. Now there's plenty of Mrs. Dashes that are out there, but I use the one that has garlic and herbs in it. Now the most important thing is the cumin. I go to where it is the ethnic part of the grocery store and get all this stuff. You do have it in the spice column. It is all there with all your other spices, but the other in the ethnic group of the grocery stores, it's got a different flavoring. This one actually comes from Michigan, where I'm from, and I go right down to Del Rey, down in Mexican City, right down there, and get my spices and tortillas and stuff for tamales. All right, we just checked on our poppers. We need a few more minutes there. As you can see, the refried beans are smushing a lot easier now that they're heated. Our meat is almost done. Get these all going here. And we'll get our plates going real soon. Okay, you can use whole tomatoes and then puree them yourself. Or you just grab some tomato sauce. We're just going to add it in a little bit. I would say for the amount of meat I have here, I wouldn't use more than half a can because we don't want to overpower it with the tomato taste. You can also use those Rotel tomatoes and puree that, and that's going to make them really, really spicy. Okay, what I did is I went ahead and I smushed them a little bit and then flipped them, and you can see how now they're starting to brown. idea is to catch them now. You will lose a little bit of your peppers, so that kind of shows you that you really got to roll them and possibly get your peppers more in the middle than on the outside. The inside looks amazing when you're smushing them. Okay, let's give these another minute. All right, I'm going to go ahead and remove the poppers from the tray, put them on a plate. You can serve them with your guacamole, you can serve them with your salsa, you can serve them with cream cheese, not cream cheese, I'm sorry, sour cream. Oh, run away. There we go. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the guacamole. I'm going to cut these avocados. I found this handy dandy little tool, of course on Facebook, all those little gadgets you see there. Cuts it in half. Now many times you just take your knife and you go like that. Graceful was my nickname, so I can't do that. So we just pull it out with this, slap it on there, and it comes right out. It really does. There we go. Take that off of there. And we're just going to take the knife, or you just have to peel it back. Now normally you add your onion and tomatoes and a little bit of garlic. Add some salsa and make it that way. But I found this new little packet over across the street here. It's called Spicy Guacamole Mix. It's got roasted tomatillos in there, habanero, and garlic. Now, for those of you that don't know, habanero is a very hot, hot pepper. So let's see how this is going to work. So simply add 2 avocados and pour the packet in. Avocados are so expensive still. There's no way you can make guacamole and not get your hands dirty. I don't care who you are. There we go. Okay. Now we're also going to add a little bit of lime juice to the avocados because that's what prevents it from turning brown. Sure. There we go. Let's get this open. All right. Smells amazing. Look how it's all the green in there. It's almost like your verde sauce, which is the tomatillos and garlic. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the taco shells, because you want to warm them up a little bit. Stops them from being chewy. We're going to put them on here, and we're just going to put them in the oven for a few minutes. The oven's still hot from the poppers, so we should be good. There we go. I am mushing them with a potato masher because they're not as ripe as I would like them to be able to do a fork. You can kind of see how it's getting a little bit more consistency for it. You could still put your cherry tomatoes in here, some purple onion. All that's going to do is it's going to give it a little bit of color to your green. With this being a new sauce, I've never used it before. I would have probably put some tomatoes in here. Okay. Okay. Got the guacamole ready. Get this out of our way. Let's get those tacos. You can see they're corn tortillas, so the corn tortillas, you can see a little bit of a glaze on them. That tells you that you've warmed them up well. We'll grab a plate. We get some ingredients together here, and we're going to make some tacos, beans, and your appetizer. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up our lettuce and tomato for the topping of our tacos, and your beans. You kind of want to shred it a little bit. Make it a little bit smaller or longer. Again, most of it is for appearance. Just use a little bit here. Get the tomato. I got a really white one here. Shoot, I have a little gadget too for the tomato and I forgot it. I'll show you that next time. Could you put the lettuce and tomato together? Sure. But you know there's always somebody out there that doesn't like tomato or they don't like lettuce. So I always left them separate. Okay. There we go. We'll just cut up a little bit for now. All right, let's get our taco shell. I'm going to put a little appetizers on here. We're going to put our taco meat in here. Now some people will put their beans in here too. It's all what your preference is. I'm going to put that. We're going to put a little bit of cheese on the bottom. That way it's kind of melting on your meat because it's hot. Then we're going to put a little bit of these green jalapenos. A little bit of tomato. A little bit of lettuce. Some more cheese. This is the trick. Yeah, let's take one of those appetizers and put it there. Now we're going to put some beans on the side. We're going to garnish them with some cheese also. A little bit of sour cream. Sour cream makes the beans a little bit more creamier. You can either do it when you serve it or you can do it when you're making them. There we go. We're going to put a little bit of sour cream on this, and then we're going to top it with the guacamole. Okay, and there you go. You've got your beans, you got your appetizer, and you got your taco. Here I made a very simple flour tortilla dough. We are talking 3 cups of flour, half a cup of shortening, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon baking powder, and then you mix it with warm water. Your warm water can go anywhere between a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup. So you knead it really good. And I'm going to make the churros with this. So just take a little ball off and then I roll them in my hand. And then I'm going to put them in the hot grease. It's almost there. Now this is just plain vegetable oil, nothing fancy. You can make them as thin as you want, as thick as you want. And then you'll store them in a closed container. Once they come out of the oil, you're going to dip them really quickly in cinnamon and sugar. Okay, we take them out, put them on the paper towel for a few minutes. You can see how they're browning on each side. And then I'm going to take them and throw them in the cinnamon and sugar. Okay, here we go. Got them on there. Spoon them around a little bit. Then I'm going to shake them. There you go. Cinnamon and sugar churros. And again, you can make them long and skinny, or you leave them short and fat like this. Here you have them. Nice cinnamon, nice and warm. Eat them by themselves. Add them to ice cream. You can add them to a nice cup of hot tea. Well, there you go. A quick and easy, as spicy as you want, jalapeno poppers, homemade refried beans, and stuffed taco with fresh guacamole. And to satisfy sweet tooth, a cinnamon churro. I'm going to enjoy this nice glass of wine, Virginia wine, with my lunch. Hope to see you all soon. Making it with Lisa. Adios.
Me answer.